Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Hey, Steve, welcome back to the Friday at 4. How are you?
Doing well, Chuck. How are you this week?
It's been a great week. Good to
Nice.
see you. Glad you're back on the
Yeah,
Friday at 4.
yeah,
Thanks
you as
for,
well. You as well.
yeah, thanks for being, uh, week after week doing this. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun just to hang out, relax, add some value. Yeah, good stuff.
I appreciate you still liking the Friday at 4 with me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, I
We've
am.
come a long
Well,
way.
well, this is going to sound crazy, but it is the truth. You set this up. You do the podcast, you do all this stuff. I have no clue. So, and I really don't. So it's a really good combination. So you do a lot of this stuff. I show up and we're good. Okay.
Talk. You show up, talk, and I do all the rest.
We're good.
Well, speaking of talk, hey, well, let's jump right into it. So this week, I thought this topic was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, I was going to run things by you, but I think I like this one, and I'm glad you said very interesting, good topic, and
Hmm.
let's run with it, right? Yeah, customers aren't leaving because you're bad; they're leaving because something better, faster, or easier quietly replaced you. This isn't about competition anymore, right? It's about replacement behavior. What do you think about that?
First of all, it's a great topic. I'm glad you put this, out there.
Yeah,
People, as a general statement, people have their own likes, opinions. They do what they want to do. Sometimes there's logic, sometimes there's not. Who cares? But people do what they want to do. And a lot of people have loyalty to a company or a product. Like some people love the iPhone. For what, again, I'm not saying good or bad. People, when the new iPhone comes out, people wait for hours and hours and hours online in the middle of the night for the store to open up.
right.
That's their thing and they like it and that's cool. But for those people who either have that great loyalty or even just the average everyday person that walks in and out of a store,
Mhm.
they like what they have for the moment. And then one day they don't show up,
Yeah,
or 2 days, or a week, or a month. They just disappear. And a lot of businesses sit there and say they could have moved, they could have lost their job, anything to deflect because they truly don't know and don't look into why that customer or customers have stopped showing up and spending money.
yeah,
And while some businesses are resilient and say, okay, I lost a customer, I gained a new customer. I lost five, I gained five. Net effect is zero. So your revenue's the same, your profit's the same. But are you, as a business, I mean, you as a business, are you really looking into why did that one, two, five, 10, 100 customers disappear?
yeah,
You know, and unless
yeah.
you really take a look at why over time, you're going to fade away.
Mhm.
And could be any number of reasons.
Yeah,
One of the reasons could be, and again, there's no right or wrong to this. We're just putting stuff out there. One of those reasons that customers go away could be your staff.
yeah,
Did you lose a staff member that a lot of customers loved? It's almost like the key man person in a company. It's like without that person, you're in trouble. So, did
right.
you lose a key staff member? Did you take on a staff member who is rude, doesn't know the product, just doesn't care, and the attitude shows very quickly to customers? So, again, you may not want to face this, but take a look at the staff. Okay. And again, it's a logical thing to do. And we understand staff is money. They cost money, benefits, and all those things, but staff is also your link between your business and your customers. So that staff is key. That really is your most valuable asset is your is your staff. Now, another thing you may want to look at is is your product still relevant in the market? And
Right.
that could come from things like pricing. Did the price to the consumer in the last month, 2 months, 6 months reduce? And you're still charging higher. So if you're charging $5 for a New York City hot dog off a cart, which by the way, I love those things. But if you're but if you're charging $5 and your competition is just went down to four, people in this economy are very price sensitive. So instead of coming to you at $5, they're going to go somewhere else for four. Now, again, you can say one customer, okay, if we replace them. But if you have a continued stream of people that are eating two, three times a week, times 50 weeks, could be a couple $100 in somebody's pocket. They're going somewhere else because if they're lower on the hot dog, they're lower on the soda and everything else. So is it the cost that's coming to an issue? Is it the technology? Are you sitting with an old version of Windows 95, which is long out versus, Windows 11 right now?
Windows
Again,
ME.
I'm just, business wise, do you have,
Yeah.
are you selling a cell phone that's 5 years old when every 6 months a new one comes out? Take a look at the technology that you have. Um, if you're selling something that may be comparable, but let's say your internet service goes down and now you can't use it.
Yeah, right.
So that's an
Or it
issue.
goes down frequently, right? Because if you're not consistent, you don't have that reliability in a system,
Right.
people are going to go elsewhere. Yeah.
Right. Right. And again, depending on the type of business you're in, all those different things, those services, the technology, the price, all those things really come into play. And that's a lot of really the things that happen. Um, Location. Let's say you're in and this unfortunately is becoming more and more prevalent across the US. You're in a shopping mall, and unfortunately, shopping malls are starting to slowly fade away.
Yeah.
So if you have like your big anchor stores, your Macy's, your Nordstroms, your whatever else is out there, they're going out of business. So when your anchor store in a mall goes out, a lot of the smaller stores follow suit. All of a sudden, you're sitting in a mall that's now only half full instead of 100% full. Now you have less traffic, less sales. People don't want to come to a mall that's on a decline. So, again, they're losing sales that way.
Yeah.
Um, you look at the physical store itself. Is it outdated? Does it need painting? Is the carpet worn through? You know, um, Are your display cases empty or are they nice and attractive to bring people in the front door? All those things really do play a part in a person's thinking. I know if I'm going down a street and whether I'm in the mood to buy or not in the mood also, but if I'm in the market to buy something, I'm going to look down the street because I'm in New York City. So there's obviously stores everywhere. But I'm walking down the street, and if I see a store that has a nice display, it's a well made, well laid out store. The display is nice. It looks neat. There's stuff on the shelves. It's not all over the floor. I'm going to walk in. If I find that I can shop what I want for what I want, without a salesperson hounding behind me every time I take a step, they take a step. I don't want to be pressured. I want them to sit on the side or stand on the side. If I have a question, hey, Chuck, can you help me with? And that type of salesperson I would buy from first, as opposed to if Chuck's behind me going, yeah, that's a great sale. You need this, you need this, you need this. Back off. Okay? I mean, plain and simple, back off.
Yeah.
People want to buy, they don't want to be sold to.
Mhm.
So these are all the things that I personally will do. Yes, price is a difference, but I will also pay a little bit more for known quality than if I try to buy something cheap because I've gone that route. I
Yeah.
maybe didn't have enough money. Maybe I saw something that was on sale and I should have been smart enough to say, if the demand is really high for Chuck's glasses, why are they on sale? So I could go over, I could pick them up off the rack, I could look at them, and maybe they're on sale because the quality of that particular pair is not good. Are they scratched? It's don't just go for a sale. Why is it on sale? And the classic example I use for that is I'm a member of one of the big box stores. I won't mention which one, but I'm one of the big box stores where you can buy, 97 pounds of hamburger for $1.29, right? So, um, by the way, I love hamburgers, but not at that price.
That's
But
right.
but what I found, and I say to my kids all the time, just because you're in a store and the price looks good, is it really worth it? Because how many times have I picked up um, a bottle of body wash and it's like, oh, great price because in one of these big box stores you're buying 155 ounces of something. First of all, do
Right.
you really need that much? But again, the price, if you really think about it, is it really cheaper than going into your local supermarket? And it
Yeah. And
may
cheaper isn't
not
always
be.
better. We talked about that. And cheaper isn't always better. Just
Correct.
because you went to the dollar store doesn't make it better. You spent $1.25 for it. Well, you should have bought the $15 one because what's going to last longer, you know?
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I recently, because I'm a very big Oreo cookie lover, a huge. I mean, give me a thing, give me a sleeve of Oreos and a glass of milk, and I'm good. Just leave me alone.
You're good.
But I was out with my daughter, and we went to one of the big box stores, and they had this huge box of Oreos, and I did like the day before, I did go to the dollar store, and I found their box of the knockoff of an Oreo. It looks like, tastes like whatever, but it's not Oreo. And I priced, and we sat there in the store and we priced out how many cookies, literally, how many cookies in the box, how many packages, how many cookies in this box versus how many in the smaller box in the dollar store. And we've priced out that if I bought so many from the dollar store to equal the price of the one in the box store, how many cookies you're getting, how much is the cost per cookie. And it turned out that the price of the cookie in the big box store was more expensive. Now, me being an Oreo cookie lover and not thinking clearly, I bought the big box because to me the cookies are more important. Okay, but but
Right.
but, but
I want
what
the
if
cookie.
yeah, cookies come first, okay? But what if they really do? But what if we're not talking about a $15 box of cookies? What if we're talking about something that's hundreds or thousands of dollars?
Yeah,
The difference in price between one store and another store could be substantial.
it could. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So you really got to be careful. And I know from your perspective, when you go into all these stores, all these food stores, and you're looking at all kinds of different things, what separates one from the next? Could be price, could be size of portion,
Yeah.
could be quality. I mean, from your experience, and again, I know you can't pinpoint a specific thing, but what are some of the things that you have seen to separate one location from another?
Yeah, that's a great question because if you go back to some of my episodes and let's take, for example, we'll go back a couple episodes and I'm trying to, without giving too much away, I'm trying to how do I word this? I mean, we've done so many episodes. And I've done so many, I've done snowballs, I've done ice cream. Um, I'm going to use the example of the deep fried pickles. One thing that set one apart from the other, in my opinion, was that while one looked good, one was deep fried well, the other was more traditional, wasn't cooked well, although it was traditional. The one that stood out was because this one, they cared more about not just about the deep fried pickle, but they cared about giving you the extra dips,
Hmm.
right? And, yeah, you want your deep fried pickles, you want ranch, and you want different sauces that come with them. But this one particular place that we visited, not only did they give us three extra dips,
Hmm.
I had talked about that briefly with the server, and he went, "Oh, well, we also have this dip. Do you want to try that?"
Hmm.
Oh, absolutely. So he brings it out, sets it down. Now I had four dips to choose
Hmm.
from. And lo and behold, the one that he brought out was absolutely the most, I'm telling you, I don't know how to describe it. It was the best fit. You think you like Oreos. This sauce with these deep fried pickles was just out of this world. And I would go back time and time again to get that combination because it
Hmm.
just worked.
Nice.
And that's just one example. This recent episode that I'm working on, without giving too much away, it has to do with breakfast. And this example kind of fit the same way, right? It comes down to ingredients. You have bread, you have eggs, you have toppings, whether some of these things are there or not. And then also how it's cooked, right? Because you can take an egg and 10 different restaurants can fry an egg.
Hmm.
It'll taste different in every one, but it's an egg. So how's that possible, right? And that's why we do what we do. Not to call out 10 different restaurants who's horrible, but it gives you an idea of how different things can be and how it ties to this topic, right? How you can lose a customer and not know it just because you fried your eggs different than the guy down the street, right? And like this phrase says, right? So most business owners think they're losing customers, but they're not, right? They're being replaced. And the scary part about that is they don't even know that they're being replaced with, right? I mean, think about it. If I'm not coming back to your restaurant because, well, I didn't like that you fried the eggs in lard, I like the eggs fried in oil, I just don't come back. You have no idea why I did that, right? Which gives you the reason of, how I do things with the show. And that gives you that kind of another look at what could possibly be happening when customers aren't really coming back to your location, right?
It makes sense. It really does because you don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Which then brings the next point up of does it make sense? And in some businesses, yes, some businesses, no. Does it make sense to give the customer some type of survey? And of course, every business has to word it differently because the businesses are different. But basically, no, and it's got to be anonymous. This way, people will answer it. If their name or anything else is on it, they're not going to. But if you ask, what did you order? And then you can ask questions about what did you order, questions about the price, um, the quality, if it's food, what did you like? What didn't you like? Um,
Now,
if
I'm
it's,
going to say, right?
go ahead,
You know what my answer to that is?
go ahead.
No, I don't want you to do a survey.
Oh,
I
okay.
want you to reach out to Chuck at QACteam.com. Go to QACteam.com and order my Star Performance Index and let me run those numbers for you
On the
and
food
let's
side,
see what's
yes.
happening. Yeah.
On the
I can
food
do any
side,
business.
yes.
It doesn't have to be food. It can be any
Oh, okay.
business. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
want you to think that I can only do food. My
Okay.
model fits for any business. I can do
Got
it
it.
for toys, cars, food, airports, hotels. This
Hmm.
can be fit for any business you can think of. I will show
Got it.
you how to make this fit. Oreos, I can do it all.
Nice. Okay. So I stand corrected.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
contact
absolutely.
Chuck.
And I didn't want to steal your thunder and have you talk
No.
about the survey,
Yeah.
but I wanted you to know that I
Right.
don't just do food.
Hmm.
My star performance index can work for any business. I can take your
Got it.
reviews and I can come out and do a visit and show you how it all fits together. And I have one to show how I'm very versatile that's coming up in a new episode.
Hmm.
I'm still working on putting it all together because it's not finished yet.
Okay.
Beyond this episode that's coming up this month, this will be another episode that I'm
Hmm.
working on that will
Good.
show how versatile Q.A.C team really is and how chasing the stars can really fit with any business. It's a shocker.
Hmm.
It'll shock you, but it's really cool.
Yeah. No, no. So
Yeah.
okay.
And that's my answer.
Yeah, I apologize. I stand corrected. So rewind this podcast and take back what I said. If you have issues and complaints and questions, contact Chuck. Let him help. Let him get to the cause of what you liked or didn't like, and let him go from there and do a larger analysis of what's going on and maybe do a video of it. And you never know. He might, and I'm going to put words in your mouth and I apologize. He might even contact you, ask you to come on the show and talk about it.
1000%. Because that's part of what I do. The podcast
Right.
interview is definitely part of it.
Right.
And it all fits together. If you watch my latest episode, I actually added the podcast to the show that we did back in 2023, and it seemed to
Okay.
fit pretty well. So yeah, it's
Nice.
good.
Yeah, it's a great thing to get people's real-time opinions or real experiences of what they had. And I agree with you. Doing a survey is cold, impersonal, and is very often found quickly in the round file known as the wastebasket. So, you get to Chuck and you're going to get some real feedback, real meaningful feedback. And that's where a lot of businesses can benefit from going, okay, I lost X number of my regular customers. Can you come in, talk to me, do some real life work, whatever it is Chuck does, because he's the expert on this, and do some real life work and find out why. And maybe you can get some customers back. Maybe you can potentially stop a business from folding if it continues to go down the wrong path.
Mhm.
There's a lot of good that can
Yeah.
happen.
And I want to say, don't shortchange yourself on the surveys because
Mm,
they do have their place.
mm,
Surveys are good for quick information.
yeah,
Hey, I want to get your quick opinion. You were just here. Exit interviews are perfect. Hey, you just were in this location. Tell me this, that, this, and that. Real quick, 5 second, couple of
mm,
questions, tick it off, and move on. So you
yeah,
don't annoy a customer or a
mm,
potential customer. But yeah, they have their
yeah.
place. You know. But if you
Okay.
want that thorough deep dive coming from
Mm,
the review standpoint, your overall bird's eye view of your business, I got you.
good,
Yeah.
good. All right. So,
Yeah.
so on public air, I will make a public apology. I messed that up big time. So I should have.
I
Okay.
know.
So my
You didn't
bad.
mess it up. You didn't mess it up. It was all good. You have to
Yeah.
understand that surveys have their place. They
Mm,
really do. And
yeah.
that's what you were going for because
Mm,
that you've probably done surveys on a lot of these
yeah.
places
Yeah.
that you're referring to that they have the survey, you know, at the bottom of the receipt
Yeah.
or in the store. But what I do goes way beyond a survey. It goes way beyond mystery shopping. It goes way beyond anything,
Mm,
that anybody's ever seen before. So
right.
yeah, and that last one I talked about, is that they don't even know what's replaced them. Those key words, right? The business owner doesn't know what replaced them. They may not have a clue until they talk to me and I give them that star performance index. You look at those numbers and say, wow, I had no idea because a lot of business owners don't look at these reviews. They have no idea. They don't
Correct.
respond to them. People are saying anything online and they have no idea that somebody came to their business, their hamburger sucked, that server was awful and they never are coming back. And that owner has no idea they said that because they don't look, they don't know, you know?
Correct. Correct.
And I'm
And
there to give you the
unless,
truth. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And unless they do find out what's really going on, it can only go worse. It can't get better because they don't know what's wrong. So how do you fix what you don't know?
Yeah. That's a huge thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And yeah, I can see it being in any business. If you
Yeah.
don't know, how do you fix it? How do
Yep.
you know why people are running away?
Right.
And we've heard, and the numbers vary based on what I'm about to say, that if somebody likes your good or service, whatever you're offering, they may tell five people. But if they don't like it, they may tell 100 in the same time frame. And
Yeah.
with today's age of social media, that negative view could be out all over the internet within seconds.
And the sad part of that is this. Here's the sad part. One of those 100 will probably never be the business owner.
Correct.
Right. I mean, they just don't tell them. Yeah, they just walk out. And
Yeah.
it's sad because they are the ones
Yeah.
who need to know because it's their business.
Right. Right.
And I can tell you I've had this experience at some, and we've talked about this several times.
Mm.
There are business owners who just don't want to know. They want to put their head in the sand and
Correct.
say, nope, I will crunch forward. I'm good. And it's sad because they could be doing so much better,
Yeah.
or they can realize that they're doing so much better to give them that confidence to do even more. But they choose not to.
Well, unfortunately, there's a saying out there that you have to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what's wrong,
Yep.
how do you spend the money to fix something when you don't know what
Yeah.
that something is? So
Right.
you go along with your head in the sand, thinking all is right, or not, like you said, not wanting to know what's wrong.
Right.
But that
Yeah.
situation, again, can only go downhill. It can never
Yep.
get better because you're avoiding the problem.
Yeah. Sorry to take up so much of the podcast time with what I'm doing with this, but
No,
in
no,
about
that's
five
fine.
minutes, can we talk about how does this fit into your realm? Because I'm curious to know. Take about 5 minutes and tell us how does it fit into to your world. I'm interested to learn what you would look for with this. How would you be
So
replaced?
every financial professional, every business, every company has that slight twist that they're different. There's the core, but the surrounding is a little bit different.
Hmm.
And the way we work in our company is the first meeting that we have with someone is really just to get to know them.
Yeah.
And because money is such a tough thing to talk about and people don't want to open up. And I get that.
Yeah.
But if you can build the relationship, I tell my story first to you before I ask you to tell me your story. So you know who I am, where I'm coming from, and you can relate to it or not. Because
Yeah.
the other way is if you tell me your story first, I tell you mine, I could twist mine to match yours, but it's not
Hmm.
really me.
Yeah.
If I tell you mine first, now you know where I'm coming from. So either we blend or we don't.
Yeah.
Now, once we get past that, then we talk high level stuff. High level stuff. No products, no sales pitch. It's information only. I'm telling you this for a reason.
Hmm.
Once we get through that, then we go into, once they feel comfortable, a little bit more of a deep dive on their specific financial situation, their goals, their time frames, what they want, a whole bunch of things that go into that. Then we get into bringing back a solution to meet that client's needs.
Yes.
Then, when we're all done, typically they're going to refer us. Now, where this comes into play in that whole process is if a customer is not happy, you're not going to get past that initial relationship building.
Yeah.
You're not going to get past the initial overview of what's out there in the real world. High level, but you're not going to get past it. You're not going to get past the deep dive into their financials, goals, and dreams. You're not going to get a chance to present the solution or implement the solution. And they're not going to give you referrals. So there's multiple checkpoints in there that if you're not honest, you don't have integrity, you're not looking at their best interest at any point in that process, they're going to shut you down. And if you and if you get shut down and you're being honest with yourself, the question then becomes, I just went to, I don't know, 5 customers and they all stopped me at this point. What did I do wrong? What can I change that all 5 stopped right here? What do I need to change? Is it the way I say things, the way I'm dressed? Am I believable? Am I honest? Am I going out as a salesperson or somebody to help a client? All those things come into play that if you're not doing it the right way and you don't have the customer's interests first, you're never going to go down the road and end up helping the client. So it's all about it fits one industry or another. It fits, but you have to again be honest and not put your head in the sand, to the words you used before, not put your head in the sand and say, okay, what went wrong? Could you have 5 customers in a row that are not getting past that point? Yes, it is possible. But before you start blaming the customers, look at yourself as a
Yeah.
business owner.
Yeah.
And that goes right back to everything we just talked about. As a business owner, are
Yeah.
you doing the best for your client who pays your bills?
Mhm. Yeah. So true, right? It's amazing that it really comes down to a lot of self-assessing, right? Because if we don't assess, we don't know what's happening. We really
Hmm.
can't help our customers because we might think we're saying and doing the right things, but yet we're not. Especially in your industry, it's tough because
Hmm.
it can take one little word that can spook off a customer. Next thing you know, you're done. You lost
Sure,
that sale.
sure.
And I don't want to
Yep.
say sale, but I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
lose it just because of that fact that because Steve looked to the left and not to the right, the glare in his glasses hit me wrong, and I don't want to do business with him. It can be that simple.
Good.
Crazy.
Good.
Yeah,
If you
crazy.
walked into a dealership, or a car dealership, and you're looking for a specific type of car, and you walk in and the salesperson says to you, Chuck, thanks for coming in. This is the car for you. They never got
Hi.
to know you. They don't know your needs, your budget,
Yeah,
nothing. They're trying
yeah,
to sell you this car for whatever their reasons. They're trying to sell you this car when you want that one.
yeah,
You're walking out the door. And
yeah,
unless they wake up and realize, maybe I should have asked him, does he want a car, an SUV, a van? Do you want 2 door, 4 door? Do you
yep,
want, an automatic or a manual transmission? What are you
yeah,
using it for? What's your budget? Unless you
yep,
ask those questions, you're going to be selling what you want, not what they need.
yeah. Or like a little plug for Ken Arment at Heritage Mazda Bel Air. Hey, come in and see my Mazda CX collection. The 579, 30, 90s, he's got them
Yep.
all. But I'm glad
Yeah.
you use technology because he's really good at that, and
Hmm.
he knows how to build rapport and he knows how to bring
Hmm.
in those repeat customers because he knows you, he
Right.
knows your style. He knows what I'm looking for. He knows I have 2 kids. He knows I got one that's about to start driving, and
Hmm.
he wants to really work on, getting that next car for her, the
Hmm.
perfect car for her. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
topic. I think
Yeah.
I'm
No, it
glad
was
we
a good
talked about
time.
this. Yeah, it was a good one. And I know it fit way more for mine than it did for you. We talked a lot more about mine, but I
That's
appreciate you
okay.
giving me that plug today to speak a little bit more about
Yeah.
what I
Yeah. I'm
do,
glad you
you
did.
know. But yeah, but if you want to learn more about, how Steve can fit into that picture and all his
Hmm.
stuff, 516-727-2294. Reach out, man. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, Steve's got a lot of knowledge in that field.
And Chuck at 410-935-6132. And it's more than just food.
It is. Yes, it is. I know you probably knew that, but I we tend to lean more towards food because
Yeah.
food seems to be the one that needs the most help. And
Right.
people don't realize that, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
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 Steve,
Yeah.
again,
Good
thanks for
stuff.
coming on this
No,
Friday at 4
no.
because
Appreciate it. It's
yeah,
4 o'clock somewhere.
yeah. Thank you,
Good
sir.
stuff.
It's been
Thank you, sir. You as well.
another great episode,
Yep.
another great conversation. I love our topics, and I can't wait to see what we have in store for next week.
Yeah, I'm waiting too.
All right, Steve.
All
Have
right.
a
Be good,
great
Chuck.
day. Great rest of the day. Great weekend. We'll talk
You too.
soon.
You
Take
got it.
care, everybody. See you,
Have
Steve.
a great one. Thank you.
You too,
Take
buddy.
care. Bye.
See you, buddy.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.